Namaste. If you're sitting on the floor in the back there, you're welcome to come up here. We have seating on a mat up here in front. I'll need to get a periscope to see everyone. Who brought these beautiful flowers? Shoshana, thank you so much. They're lovely. This morning, we will begin with Shoshana reading from one of the source texts of our current retreat. This is from the Pure Space Retreat. And just here, or stay here. Yes, and just.
Pure space. The decisive experience, basic space.
Speak loudly.
As the single expanse, supremely spacious by nature, awakened awareness, equal to space, is pivotal. Focus on this key point and distill it to its vital essence. It is the greatest of the great, wholly positive and spacious awakened awareness. In its very essence, it thoroughly shatters the confines of reality based on points of view. Within this single vast expanse, there is no duality of realization versus its lack, of freedom versus its lack, but a supreme reality of equalness. An eagle whose wings have grown within the egg glides in the expanse of the sky once it breaks out of the egg. It overwhelms gravity and crosses directly over the abysses. So also a fortunate person who has realized awakened awareness just as it is, the pinnacle of all approaches to human life, outshines causality and crosses directly over the abyss of points of view. The freedom of everything resting as a supreme reality of equalness is unacceptable when involved in cause and effect, effort and achievement. But in the sublime, great freedom, it makes perfect sense as the ultimate meaning of unwavering equalness. Everything is supreme bliss, equal to space itself, the expanse of holy, positive, basic space. There is nothing that is not free within the expanse of basic space. The true nature of all points of view is decisively experienced as the essence of aware basic space. The dynamic energy of this essence is perfect within everyone, with freedom in immediate perception. Awareness is experienced as holy, positive, basic space, in no way divisible.
Thank you. If we want to know who we are, then it's very important to have some sense of what that means. If for many, many years we've taken ourselves to be our collection of points of view, in other words, all the points of view that are included and contained within the pure view of awareness, and all we can see are those points of view, say, these are our points of view of a personal identity, and all those points of view include within the infinite vast expanse of the pure view of awareness, then it's very important that we relax, simply relax, and allow ourselves to have a more expanded experience of ourselves as we really are. If we've taken ourselves to be a lot of different points of view, and all of our awareness in every moment is swimming around in whatever those points of view are, the points of view we've learned, in other words, the belief systems and assumptions of our family, our community, our culture, and our world, then first of all, it's most important, more than anything else, to just relax. So rather than bringing in a whole bunch of additional things we need to do, additional practices we need to maintain, first of all, we need to relax. Just rest easily without seeking anything, and feel the ease of our being. And in that ease of our being, we'll learn much more about ourselves as we are than any other point of view we can bring in. Once we have some ease, then we may see some other structures that can help us, a teacher or whatever, to have a more expanded sense of ourselves. But as a starting point, we have to have some idea of what we are. Some idea of what we are. It isn't that what we are is an idea. It's just that we use ideas as communication to point out who we are. And some of those words or ideas talk about what we are as an object. So a subject looking at an object that is what we are. In other words, they only talk about what we are. It's the unification of subject and object as a non-dual expanse of equalness that is doing the talking. So these two types of communication, one that is a direct emanation of the non-dual expanse of equalness, and the other that is a subject talking about an object, are two entirely different matters. So it's very important, if we're reading anything, to read something that is a direct expression of that non-dual expanse of indivisible awareness, the non-dual vast expanse of indivisible awareness that is our true nature, rather than a subject talking about an object called awakening, liberation, being human, whatever it is. The reality of what we are, the single vast expanse of equalness, omniscient timeless awareness, vast as infinite space, has never been confined by any points of view. All points of view that arise within the pure view of all-inclusive awakened awareness are that awareness and nothing else. There's no point of view, no matter what it may be, that has ever existed elsewhere. All of the points of view of all-inclusive awakened awareness are inseparable from it, just like the color blue is inseparable from the sky. Now, we use that metaphor, the color blue being inseparable from the sky, or the vast expanse of infinite space, as symbols to give us a direct communication of what it feels like to be who we really are. If we only used a bunch of words without any symbols, that would be an incomplete communication, because symbols work on us in an entirely different way than just regular words alone without symbols. So this coupling of the two, words we can understand that are simple and direct, with symbols that directly relate to a felt sense of what we are very, very important. And for those of you who have been coming here for some time, you know that I use the same symbols over and over again. The Great Freedom Teaching uses the same symbols over and over again. And it isn't that I can't think of anything else. It's that these symbols have a great deal of power. These symbols have a great deal of power. And the more we hear them, the more there really is that tonal echo, that vibrational quality that is beyond anything that can be described, that really works on us and enlivens this feeling of spaciousness, this reality of all-pervasive spaciousness that is the reality of our being. So, you know, we can't really say anything about how we realize who we are. We can't say a single thing about it, because we really don't know. We really don't know. We just know that we are who we are, and that everything about our beautiful bodies, no matter what it may be, it is that all-inclusive awareness and nothing else. So awareness as dynamic energy is awareness. No matter what that dynamic energy is, it is awareness. It's the basic space of awareness, pure space and nothing else. And there's no way we can cook that up. In other words, make ourselves feel that, make ourselves directly experience that. We can only relax and realize what already is. Realize what already is the essence of every perception. The perceptions are points of view, and the awareness aren't two separate things. The awareness pure and the points of view impure. They're inseparable, originally pure from the beginningless beginning. So there's no point of view whatsoever that needs to be made pure. Everything already is pure from the beginningless beginning. So when I talk about original purity, that's what I mean. I mean that everything, no matter what it is fundamentally, by its very nature, completely pure. How is it completely pure? It's completely pure in that it's never been anything other than awareness. No matter what its label may be, no matter what all these colorful descriptions, the magnificent display, the magical expressions of awareness are, no matter what the description we might come up with, its essence is only awakened awareness. Its heart essence is awakened awareness and nothing else. No point of view of the all-inclusive pure view of awakened awareness has an origin that is independent of awareness. So this is how we know that they're all awareness. There's not a single point of view that has an independent origin that stands on its own. I'm a point of view, I'm not awareness, and this is the way it is. There's no point of view that's like that. So if we have certain points of view that seem like they aren't part of awareness, when those come up, it's especially important for us to just rest, to be totally at ease, and to feel the reality of the direct experience of that point of view, no matter what it is, as awareness. No matter what kind of approach we have to waking up, whether it's intensive sadhana done within some kind of a spiritual form, practice, or religion, or whether it's just going about ordinary conventional life, if that's our sadhana, then at some point we're going to have to come face to face with the non-spiritual and the spiritual being equal. They're equal. They're totally indivisible. There's nothing about conventional life that isn't spiritual, and nothing about spiritual life that isn't conventional. So, you know, some of the forms we choose, it's important to know that at some point, no matter how beautiful, wonderful, incredible, and fantastic those forms may be, that we will realize that those forms are equal with everything else. So that, you know, maybe all of the pujas we've been doing, the statues and other icons that we've had as part of our practice, no matter what they may be, we start to see that icon in everything, you know, whatever it is. We see Shiva, or isn't today Shiva Day, and the feast day of Shiva here in India. Or we see Kali, or we see Tara, or we see whatever it may be. We see Christ. Christ is all of a sudden everywhere. No matter where we're looking, all points of view, more and more of them seem to be Christ, or whatever our deity may be that we've focused on in our practice. And maybe we haven't focused on a deity, or none of that's been part of our lives, and we've just been going about our business in Western culture or in India, having the life of a householder or an ordinary person doing this or that. It really matters not. No matter what our form has been, natural rest is the only way we're going to come to a definitive conclusion about the reality of what we are. Because all those forms, no matter what they may be, are the essence of awareness and nothing else. So when we rest naturally, when we rest easily, when we rest completely without seeking anything, when we rest naturally for short moments repeated many times, more and more we realize this essence of what we are as the complete purity and perfection that includes all points of view. So essentially there's nothing that need be done. There's nothing at all that need be done. What there is to do has already been done. We already are who we are. We already are who we are, and the more we get involved in doing, oh, I've got to do something to find out who I am, got to do something, got to do this thing or that thing. What I'm doing right now, it isn't okay. It's not okay. I'll never find out who I am by doing this thing that I'm doing. Better do something else. Better add more in, because I'm not realizing who I am. When we add more in, there's just more of this tornado, more of this swirl of points of view all over the place. And we're one of the points of view in that tornado. We're just whipped around. We don't know which way to go. Even sometimes if we develop great calm and tranquility in our practice or in our ordinary life without a practice, maybe we don't have a practice, we just feel more calm and tranquility, and it just feels so good. Well, that's really wonderful, and that's great too, but calm and tranquility, these are also points of view. Stillness, quiet, all of these things, they're all points of view. We may feel more settled, but at some point we're going to need to begin to include more. You know, the noise, that's awakened awareness too. That's the emanation of sublime speech. All sounds, no matter what they are, of all kinds, are the emanation of sublime speech and nothing else. Everything that is seen, no matter what it is, all sights of all kinds are the emanation of sublime awareness and nothing else. Everything we touch, no matter what it is, it's the touch of sublime awareness and nothing else. Everything we smell, foul or wonderful. The most expensive perfume in the world, I wouldn't want to smell that, but maybe a flower. I enjoy smelling flowers like these flowers right here. Or maybe walking down the street and there's some cow dung. It's all the emanation of sublime awareness and nothing else. So the whole world of opposites, it collapses. It collapses as the basic space of awareness. All of these perceptions, no matter what they are pure space and nothing else. We can't figure any of that out. We can't arrive at it through intellectual speculation or representational thought. No matter how sublime our representational thought or intellectual speculation may be, at some point that too resolves in basic space. There's just nothing to be said or done. There's only this great reality of equalness and nothing else. True non-duality, entirely beneficial in nature, all-inclusive, the single blissful expanse of equalness. The more of these points of view that are integrated, that resolve in the basic space of our own awareness, the more relaxed we feel. So relaxation is how we come to directly experience everything as awakened awareness, and we actually feel that. It's a relaxation, a complete ease in our bodies. We can look in the mirror and see it. We can see it in our faces, that we can say, oh, gee, I look 10 years younger than I did when I first heard about this. This is such a relief to know that everything really is equal. Even though we may have been focusing on non-duality, maybe there have been some subtle things that we thought really weren't non-dual. They really weren't the expanse of equalness. They weren't the sublime expanse of evenness. Maybe we had just a few subtle things we thought didn't fit in there. Maybe some things, we really didn't want to talk to anybody else about. In fact, we were sure we couldn't talk to anyone else about them. Yeah, subtle desires maybe, or something like that, that we thought maybe at some point we'd have some kind of those spinal anesthetics where they kind of block everything off from the waist down. We thought maybe our practice would lead to that. Maybe we wouldn't even have any stirrings of subtle desire anymore. If oh, I'm not saying that anyone ever really thought that, but maybe. Sometimes these are things that are actively spoken about, but you know what? I've never met anyone who's been able to turn them off, not really. Once they get down to really telling me all their secrets, I find, there's that little subtle stirring and desire in there somewhere. Well, look at us. We're filled with vitality. There's something stirring in there all the time. It's all good, too. It's wholly positive basic space and nothing else. So when it comes to these things that we think, well, maybe, they really aren't part of this wonderful expanse of aware basic space that I am, or maybe we've heard these ideas from other people, then when those come up, it's very important that we have someone we can talk to those about, because they can help us understand and affirm for us that they are wholly positive, that they are wholly positive basic space and nothing else. They're not some kind of non-spiritual demon jumping up that's trying to expunge our awareness, erase it, or get in the way of it. It's awareness saying, hey, here I am in this form too. Here I am in this form too. Take a look at me here. Well, anything we're trying to keep out of awareness, keep out of being spiritual, oh, this thing isn't spiritual, it's too gooey, messy, fun, or whatever it is. Anything we're trying to keep out, at some point we're going to have to face. So if we think our anger isn't the sublime expanse of awareness, if we think that our sadness isn't, or our depression, or all these different things that all human beings have, our sexual desire, our desire to have money to take care of ourselves, foods we like to eat, you know, maybe we have a very refined diet of vegetarianism, and then once in a while when no one's looking we'll go eat a hamburger or something like that. And we've always wondered about that hamburger. Does it really can I really be enlightened and still eat hamburgers? That's the question. Or, you know, whatever it is. So you see, anything that we're subtly or overtly keeping out of the picture of the vast expanse of awareness, at some point we're going to have to realize that whatever that is, it is the reality of awareness and nothing else. But you know, we really don't have to do anything. We don't have to do anything. We just need to relax. And sometimes people just come here and they'll say to me after, oh, gee, you know, I remember a man who came once, and he'd never been to a satsang before in his life. He just heard about it from his sister. And he just finished his PhD in clinical psychology at the University of California. And he came the first time, he sat in the front row, and after I talked for a while, he raised his hand, and he just started talking like the greatest being who had ever lived. You know, all of this warmth was just pouring out of his mouth, and all of these beautiful words, and it just seemed like he'd been to hundreds of satsangs. You know, that he'd been to hundreds of satsangs, past, present, and future. He'd been to them all. And in talking to him, he said, oh no, this is the first time I've been to anything like this. He said, I never knew anything like this existed, but he said, it's so familiar. It's so warm. I'll never have any doubt ever again that I am this. I just know this above all else. So you see, it doesn't have to be any one way. When we come here, we can just totally relax and allow ourselves to take over ourselves. You know, there's nothing to be afraid of. Oh yes, that's another thing to say. There's nothing to be afraid of. No matter what thought we may have, no matter what emotion, no matter what twinge or twitch in our bodies, whatever it is, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing that we have to try to hold down or hold out of the way or keep it quiet. Nothing at all. We are who we are, and everything that we are is this aware basic space and nothing else. I'll read from the text that Shoshana read so beautifully in the beginning, and I'll comment on it paragraph by paragraph. As the single expanse, supremely spacious by nature, awakened awareness equal to space is pivotal. Focus on this key point and distill it to its vital essence. It is the greatest of the great, wholly positive and spacious, awakened awareness. In its very essence, it thoroughly shatters the confines of reality based on points of view. Within this single vast expanse, there is no duality of realization versus its lack, of freedom versus its lack, but a supreme reality of equalness. So the key point is that we are awakened awareness. We are a single vast expanse of awakened awareness that has never been confined by anything. When we rest naturally, when we rest easily as that awareness, it shatters the confines of all our points of view, no matter how entrenched those points of view may have seemed to be. The points of view that we've accumulated over a lifetime. The points of view of our family, our community, our culture, and our world. The points of view of everything that we've taken ourselves to be, all of those are shattered, but not in a harsh or awful way, in a way of incredible tenderness and warmth, where we have this felt sense of who we are. And that felt sense of who we are arises in the body as the warmth, an actual physical warmth of bliss, of love, of compassion, of wisdom, of love, wisdom, bliss, and compassion that cannot be cultivated because it's inherent. We can't do anything to get it. We can only be totally at ease, and as we are, this warmth is evident in us. It's always been there, it just hasn't been recognized because focus has been on point of view. And then maybe too, we've added a few other points of view about awakening to all those points of view. And those points of view may be that there is a realization that we're going to attain sometime and that we lack it right now. So we hope that we'll attain it sometime and we fear that we won't. And we're constantly bouncing back and forth between this hope that we'll attain it and the fear that we won't. So especially when those points of view come up, to rest and be at ease, to know that what we are is already accomplished, that there is no realization or its lack, that awareness, all-inclusive awakened awareness, is timelessly, omnisciently free. And what that means is that even if we have a point of view like I'm not awake, that point of view is timelessly free. It's never known any time. It's never known any expanse of something occurring and something not. It's just already awakened awareness that has never been confined about by any point of view, and especially these points of view of freedom or its lack. There neither is freedom nor its lack. There is neither someone to be realized nor someone to realize anything, nor something to be realized. There's only this expanse of evenness. The one who thinks that there's someone to be realized is just a point of view in awakened awareness. Well, when we relax and we know ourselves more as awakened awareness, inclusive of all points of view, more and more we can see that these points of view too about getting enlightened or doing practice leading to enlightenment or some kind of enlightenment to be attained in the future or someone doing something to attain enlightenment, all these are just points of view arising within our vast expanse of awakened awareness. In actuality, we've never taken ourselves to be anything because there is no one to take themselves to be anything. But how could we ever figure that out by jumping around from one point of view to another? We can't. So we rest without contrivance. The natural yoga, the yoga of natural rest that has been handed down from generation to generation for thousands of years. We rest naturally without seeking anything. And as we do so, this kiss, this bliss of our being, it's just so obvious. It's so obvious. And once we have one of those troublesome points of view come up, each one of you here, think about one of those points of view you might have that maybe you thought, if you have one, that you thought, well, that really isn't awareness, you know, that isn't spiritual, that's a point of view I can't have and ever be enlightened. Think of one of those. Think of a point of view that doesn't fit within enlightenment, and then just rest, you know. Rest and see as that point of view comes up that it arises within the expanse of your evenness. It arises within the expanse of all inclusive awakened awareness, that the idea of a you arises as that expanse, the you who has this point of view that can't get enlightened somehow, that it arises as the non-dual expanse, and then see how it just vanishes naturally of its own accord. It vanishes naturally, leaving no trace. That you couldn't hold on to it even if you wanted to. Even if you wanted to hold on to that point of view of being somebody who can't get enlightened, you couldn't possibly do it. It would be impossible, because all these points of view, they're like a line drawn in water. When we draw a line in water, it appears, abides, and disappears simultaneously. There's nothing we can say about it. And all the points of view, all the dynamic energy of awareness, this luster of awareness that is point of view, it vanishes naturally in the same way. It dissolves in and of itself. It's its own undoing. There's nothing that needs to be done about it. Everything is pure space, one pure space. One pure space, just one pure space. So all these points of view, they're the luster of pure space and nothing else. If we went into pure space and we tried to separate its light out from it, well, that would be impossible. Well, so too, you know, all these points of view, they're the luster of pure space. We can't separate them out. There's no awakening, enlightenment, liberation separate or apart from all these points of view. You see, awareness, there's no awareness separate or apart from these points of view. So awakened awareness, enlightened awareness as points of view. It's not separating out into some kind of transcended, non-conceptual state where there aren't any points of view. That's a point of view too. So, you know, if we have that kind of wonderful non-conceptual state, it may just feel so much better than anything we've ever experienced in our life, because there's nothing going on, none of these points of view. But that's a point of view too. After all, what's aware of that non-conceptual state? So you see, we need to rest as that which is primary in every perception. Awareness primary is a non-conceptual state. Awareness primary is all conceptual states. Awareness primary is every single point of view without exception. Never been a point of view of any kind that exists elsewhere other than awareness. Just this wonderful totality of evenness, the totality of evenness that isn't something that we need to get. It's the reality of what we already are. Are there any questions now? Dave?
Some teachings say that dreams help in developing, finding your true self or true awareness or whatever. Is this true or not? Because I rarely dream.
Oh,
Or I dream but I don't remember them. Because you dream every night.
What is a dream?
Awareness.
Very good. It's very good. I like that. Yes, a dream is awareness, and the vivid appearance of awareness as the dream, the description of the dream, all these images that appear as the vast expanse of awareness. So we have a dream. All points of view, no matter what they are, they're like a dream image, like a mirage, like the sound in an echo. They're nothing but pure space. When it gets down to it, they're nothing but pure space. There's nothing we can hold on to there. So there's the waking dream and the sleeping dream, you might say. And when, I suppose you're pointing to the sleeping dreams in particular. When we rest naturally and get to know ourselves as awareness, just in a totally natural way, you know, we can wait for the big bang of awareness if we want to, but it's very unlikely that that'll ever occur. You know, that happens so rarely, so rarely. But what we can count on is that when we rest naturally, we familiarize ourselves more and more with the reality of our own luminous awareness. It's right here. We don't have to go anywhere to get it, not even to India. We're all in India, but we don't have to go here to get it. You know, that's sort of like being in Toronto and then you say to someone else, oh, you know, I really want to get to Toronto, can you help me? And they say, oh, go 26,000 miles east and you'll get to Toronto. Or they say, oh, go to India and then you'll get to Toronto. Or meditate for 30 years, then you'll get to Toronto. Well, you don't want to talk to anybody like that, you know. You want to meet someone who will say, hey man, you're in Toronto. Hey dude, you're in Toronto. Wake up. So, you know, this is very important. So we already are awareness. We already are the full blast of awareness that includes everything, including the cosmic blast. So we are that. We are that. All points of view are included and contained within us. The more we familiarize ourselves with that, the more it is pervasive 24/7. So it does include dreams and sleep. In my own sleep, for example, there's luminous awareness throughout the night, luminous awareness as sleep. So the more we're familiar with ourselves as awareness, the more it's obvious. But when we haven't been looking at ourselves as that, then it's not obvious. So this is a very simple proposition. It's not rocket science or anything like that. We just, with ease, realize who we are. We don't have to change anything about our life to do this. Whatever we're doing in our life is perfect and complete in itself. So if we live in an ashram and we have an incredible sadhana and all of our sangha and friends we've had forever, we don't have to leave there to find awareness. If we're a Catholic nun or priest and suddenly we hear about non-duality and we want that more than anything, we don't have to leave to realize who we are. We may not find many people to talk to, but we can realize who we are, because the heart essence of all practices, no matter what they are, is the single expanse of evenness. Whatever we talk about, whether we talk about it as union with God or union with dreams or whatever it is the single expanse of omniscient, timeless awareness. So the more we rest easily, we will realize that about ourselves, whether we're a priest or a nun or a monk or a yogi of some kind, or we're someone who's living the life of a householder. The more we rest naturally and easily, with each of our points of view, it is a puja. Each of our points of view, it is the ultimate meditation. Each of our points of view, it is the most beautiful, incredible, wondrous, fantastic sadhana. Every single one of the points of view, it is that. Pranam to these points of view. You know, these points of view, there is no awakening outside these points of view. None whatsoever. There's no awakening whatsoever outside these points of view. So you see, everything that we learn as part of our practice, ideally at some point we'll see all this. We'll see, oh, you know, all this while, all the deities that I've had so much reverence for, I see that all my points of view are the deity, including the point of view of myself. that you know, the pranams I've been doing to this one and that one, and maybe to an icon or whatever it is, all the pranams I've been doing to myself. You know, I maybe for a while I thought about it as something else, but now more and more I'm seeing it as myself. Now this is wonderful. This is the fruition of our heart longing when we've lived our lives so devoted to knowing the truth. This is the fruition of what we have longed for so deeply. So sometimes we may be in a tradition where there aren't many people realizing the same thing, but that's okay. That doesn't mean that we need to be excluding ourselves from ourselves. We just rest, and we don't need to run away or make them wrong or anything like that. We just rest, and more we see the beauty in everything. We see the beauty in everything. We see all of a sudden that everyone who who isn't recognizing awareness that they're awareness too. There's no one who's never ever not recognized awareness. When we realize we're not confused and we've never been confused, we realize there's no one else who's been confused either. So rather than seeing all those people who don't live in the ashram over against all those people who do, or all those who don't live in the monastery over against those who do, or all those who don't recognize awareness over against the great ones who do, everyone recognizes awareness. There's no one who hasn't recognized awareness. So, you know, it's wondrous, and it lights up everything. It lights up the body from head to toe. There's no way to hold it back. You know, everything is what it is. Everything is what it is. Nothing has ever been excluded. There's no dark side and light side. The light is dark and the dark is light, and there's nothing that can be said about it. But if we try to think about that too much, we'll just be in another prison of a conceptual framework, a frame of reference. So all we can do is be at ease. Totally be at ease with whatever the wonder of what we're doing in our lives is. And as we relax so deeply, so completely, we find that natural ease that is the heart essence of whatever our practice has been. These practices, no matter what they are, the great ones who made them up never intended them to be some kind of tortuous ordeal. I just know this for certain. They were never meant to be an ordeal or some kind of thing where we'd make ourselves feel even worse about ourselves than we already did when we started the practice. Oh dear. No, we don't want that to happen. You know, we have to know that anyone who designed our practice, that they were a greatly compassionate being, and anything they were suggesting or that we may have seen them do, so we did it too, that it was just bringing complete ease to their life in every conceivable way, and that when it was suggested to us, it was certainly hoped and intended that this ease would be the case for us as well. So if there are things that are going on in your life, whether you're a householder or a yogi or whatever you're calling yourself, I can't possibly cover all the names that we take ourselves to be. I'd be here a long time, wouldn't I? Just be at ease, be totally at ease as you are with whatever that point of view is. Just know that that point of view, it is you. It is the blessed you. It is the dynamic energy of awareness or nothing else. Or if you call it God, that's fine too. It's God, or it's the Divine Mother, or the Great Spirit, or there's so many names these days, and we know them all because we can Google them all on the internet. We know more about this than forever before. But just know that all the names are the kiss of God. It doesn't matter what they are. It just doesn't matter. So I know you've all heard these things hundreds of times probably, but just know that it really, really is true, and that the direct experience of it is the direct experience of everyone, with no one left out. So there's no one who's ever been left out from realization. No great beings and ordinary beings. All ordinary beings are great beings, and all great beings are ordinary beings. You see, when we talk about great beings or the realm of great beings, we're not talking about a place that, well, we don't really know where it is. We've heard it talked about, but maybe it's on a mountaintop somewhere, the top of a sacred mountain, or maybe it's sort of a realm in space that we can't really see. But what it really is us. It's our own awakened awareness. When we talk about the realm, the awakened body, speech, and mind, that is the awakened body, speech, and mind of the victorious ones of past, present, and future, the victorious ones who've realized who they are of the three times, we're talking about ourselves, our own awareness. It's awareness as that point of view of the possibility of this existing. When we relax more and more, our body, speech, and mind that we've taken to be wrapped up in all these points of view, they're not very relaxed as long as they're wrapped up in the points of view. We can't think straight. What comes out of our mouth a lot of times is unexpected, and we go, "Ooh, didn't mean to say that," you know. That's not in my spiritual practice to talk like that. Or you know, we might even do something it's another one of those things. Ooh, hope the guru didn't see me doing that one, you know. So all these things, you see, as long as we're wrapped up in points of view, we can't help but expressing in those ways. It's just the way it is. But when we start to relax, our thinking, it too becomes like space. Our thinking becomes like space. Vast as infinite space. Our speech, we don't have to worry about it anymore. You know, because we find that inherently we have a mind, we have a speech, we have a body that are vast as infinite space. And these three, the body, speech, and mind, are inseparable. When we relax just totally at ease as the essence of our being, what comes out of our thinking and our speaking and our action, it's something that could never, never occur, all wrapped up in point of view, just because we aren't relaxed enough. Because most of the time we think we have to do, we have to effort, we have to achieve, we have to learn, and then we can be awake. And so when we hear that we just need to relax, and then we can more and more see that we're already awake, it doesn't sound like that could be right. Because what's better than anything? Awakening. I think everyone here would agree with that, probably. But is there anyone here who doesn't agree with that? You know, it's the reality of what we are as human beings. So when that reality that is more important than anything, when we hear that that can come about only through ease and natural rest, that this is the direct way, this is the direct method, the direct perception of awareness, not at some point in the future, but right here, then we think, oh, well, that's too easy. I've been doing all this work, and this sounds too easy. But just know that whatever the point of view is, it's the throne of natural rest. So it's the divine throne of natural rest. That's what it is. There's no point of view that is not that. If there's any point of view that seems like it isn't that, then just rest, and it will be obvious that it is. And this includes everything that occurs in the waking dream and the dream at night. So the more we rest naturally in our dreams too, we find luminous awareness, clear awareness all night long, something we maybe never had heard about or even dreamt was possible. We could have never imagined that. But you see, every night in our dreams we really are luminously aware. We just haven't familiarized ourselves with the reality that we are. Once we do, it's like, wow, I never sleep. So this is what awaken means. It's awakening in all bodily states, waking, dreaming, or sleeping. Awake, that's why the word awake 24/7. It doesn't mean awake like this 24/7. It means the luminous awareness that's never been asleep, as each of us is aware 24/7. And that awareness is pristine and clearly real. So, you know, this isn't something that we need to compete for. We're not competing with anyone else. We should never compare ourselves to anyone other than us. Just if you want to compare yourself to someone, compare yourself to yourself in your own time of growing familiar with the natural ease of what you are. And just gradually and naturally, your dreams too will have this pervasive, spacious awareness that is truly real all night long. So there's nothing to do. There's no practice to do. Something more about that? Mm-hmm.
You mentioned vegetarianism and that an enlightened person could eat meat and still be enlightened. And yesterday in Inquiry 2, we were told about compassionate emptiness. Mm-hmm. And I wondered how the suffering that's inherent in eating meat, how that ties in with being able to eat it and still being fully aware?
That's a good question. Well, you know, of course it's important for us to be compassionate, whether we're living within the realm of cause and effect or we are living as the full evidence of that which is beyond cause and effect. When we live within the realm of cause and effect, we need to cultivate compassion. That's the only way it seems that we can get it. The easy way is to rest naturally, and then compassion is so obvious that it just can't be restrained. It's just spewing all over the place, you know. It can't be held back. It's like turning on the spigot and then ripping off the spigot and throwing it away. It's just the great gush of tender compassion that fills everything throughout all times. So, you know, when we are arriving at an idea of compassion through intellectual speculation and doing based on cause and effect, then we can come up with all kinds of ideas about what is compassionate and what is not. But what I suggest to you is to just rest naturally as the ease of your own being. Allow this compassion that always is to flower, and then see what this is for yourself. See what compassion is for yourself. You'll know. You'll know. But there's absolutely nothing that's excluded. There's nothing that's excluded. Say we take a principle, a time-honored principle that is, of course, tremendously important, never more important than at this time in human history, such as non-harming. To not be harmful. Now this, of course, is a very important principle, and it's important to us whether we're living within the realm of cause and effect or whether we're living beyond cause and effect. And beyond cause and effect, it's naturally occurring. Non-harming is naturally occurring. But if we live within the realm of cause and effect, then we're going to have to start to speculate about what non-harming means. If we look at the word non-harming, its essence is awakened awareness. So that's its essential meaning, its ultimate meaning, awakened awareness. And if we go beyond that into the description, then we will have an infinite regress of points of view about what non-harming means. Some people will say it means this thing, some people will say it means that thing. Not if we say you don't eat meat, then we're saying, okay, certain kinds of beings are more exalted than other beings. That's the conclusion we're arriving at. That certain kinds of beings, animal beings, are more important or a better kind of being than a stalk of broccoli. Do you see what I'm saying? So when we rest naturally and easily, we have the power of vast mind to look at these things as they really are. We can come to a thorough understanding. And we can also come to a very ready ability to have very powerful and compassionately forceful means at our disposal to rectify all kinds of problems, whether it's animal cruelty or whatever it is. We'll see all of a sudden on the horizon of our own awareness a solution that maybe no one has ever thought of before. No one could ever possibly think about it from the world of cause and effect. It's impossible. But you know, right now, as humankind, we don't have time any longer to try to think out all these things and make sense of them. We just have to get busy and rest. Get busy and rest. Just allow the natural ease of our being to come to the fore, and with that, there's a power and force to be reckoned with. A power and force to be reckoned with, that we as a global humankind can come together in a grassroots way and say, you know, this is who we are as humankind, this is who we've always been, and this is our compassionate outpouring for all of the world. So, you know, we have to realize that we don't live solely within cause and effect. You see, cause and effect, it can't even fathom the idea of a human being beyond causality. That can't even be fathomed from a mind that's all wrapped up in cause and effect. But a mind that is at rest as the vast expanse of being is beyond causality. It includes cause and effect, but it doesn't operate only within the realm of cause and effect. It can affect cause and effect. So this is very important and very powerful to know about ourselves. This is the only way that new forms of compassionate force, of compassionate immensity can come into being. We can't solve our problems from cause and effect. Everyone knows this. You know, I was talking to my mother yesterday. She said, oh, I'm glad you're over there doing something about this. You know, now my mother, she'll be 88 April 5th, and she is a Catholic. She's a Roman Catholic, and she is a devout Catholic. She and her mother, oh, the devoutest of all Catholics. I would have never been opened up into the world of devotion if I hadn't met my grandmother and my mother. You know, through them, from the beginning of my life, I knew that there was something beyond cause and effect. So this was very good. You know, this was very good. So see, my mother, even though she's 88 years old, she's not hopeless. She has one of those big flat screen TVs, you know, and she watches it all. She watches all the news, the maiming, the killing. She doesn't need to exclude anything. She can hold it all in her compassionate embrace. And she, you know, she's still saying something has to be done. And she was telling me about this place where she lives now. There are many old people who live there, hundreds of old people, and it's owned by the Sisters of the Holy Name. And she saw something going on there that she didn't like, and she thought that it was wrong for old people to be exposed to all this noise and the trash trucks coming and going with their beepers going off at 6 in the morning. So my mother went right to the president of the organization, and she said, this is wrong, you know, we need something done here. You've got to move that somewhere else, and it's causing suffering to some of the people living here. So he said, well, thanks for speaking up, you know, and then while they implemented the changes, they took her and showed her those changes. So from the beginning of my life, my mother taught me to not mince words. And that's what she said to me yesterday. She said, you know me, I don't mince words. And I said, yes, I'm so glad you don't, because see, I learned that. As you can tell, I don't mince words. I go straight to the bottom of the matter.